I have a question.
Yes.
What are your two principal mechanisms of communicating to the North Omaha community?
Well, for these programs,
What are your two principal mechanisms for communicating anything that you have to communicate, principally as it applies to North Omaha community?
I would say we have the public hearings for these funds and hold focus group meetings, and to get all 25 of you here, I sent out nearly 600 invitations. We have a website, and probably most importantly, we depend on your helping us make those connections. So
we also do the program brochures. We try to distribute those as widely as possible. Printed material.
We do have printed material on each of the programs that we have in place. We do
What do you use
catalogs.
What do you use to disseminate information to the North Omaha community?
I think I just described.
You talk about pamphlets and mechanisms. Are you saying that you use mail? Are you saying that you use?
I'm sorry.
What is your mechanism to disseminate your information to the North Omaha community?
I misunderstood. It's a combination of several things: mail-outs, word of mouth, the internet. Those are the primary methods we use.
What would you say that how long have you been involved? May I ask, please?
You may. It was on the 4th of this month, 27 years.
What would you say your overall success using those mechanisms have been?
I would say they have been moderately successful, not nearly as successful as we would like, but I think we get input from a wide variety of citizens and people that work with affordable housing and services associated with those. And I wish it were better. We obviously don't have a bottomless amount of resources available, but we do attempt to make connections with neighborhoods as well as we can.
Over the last 30 years, your neighborhood organizational directory, as it applies to North Omaha, has been 70% non-active.
I believe that directory depends on the neighborhood association, the organizations themselves, to provide accurate information.
Right.
And we do provide an opportunity for that. Obviously, neighborhood associations change. They change membership, but they also change leadership, and so that does make it a particular difficulty as...
Over the last 30 years, 70% of the neighborhood organizations in the North Omaha quadrant, Northeast Omaha quadrant, have been inactive.
I think that probably is correct, and I wish they were more active, and I wish we could help activate them.
What does that tell us?
I think what he's trying to say is that since those neighborhoods are not active, how are you getting the information to those people that doesn't have a leader to come and get their information, to get their resources? And if you know that, why haven't you done something about it, knowing that you have those statistics? That's what I think. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
I think I'm not done yet.
Oh, sorry.
I think that's what he's saying. And knowing that you've been in this job for 27 years, and you've been seeing that year after year, maybe it's time for you to move it from here to come out there to start getting a little bit more. If you see the statistics on your map that, hey, this hasn't been active, nobody's been moving in here, nobody's been doing nothing over here. What can I do to to promote, to get the message out. I think that's what he's saying is why you know that it's there, but what are you doing? What are you going to do about it, I should say?
I realize that, and this isn't a perfect answer, but a lot of the funding that we have is targeted to specific census tracts in areas where the incomes are lower and the needs are greater, and people do need assistance. It's not that we have the money sitting going unused because people don't know about it, or that it goes to other neighborhoods because people don't know about it.
But that's not what he's asking. What he asked was, he says that on your maps, when you see that there's been neighborhoods that has not been active for long periods of a time, years after years, nothing hasn't been updated, and you see that, what he's saying is, how have you reached those people? He wasn't talking about money at that particular point. He was asking, how have you went out to reach those folks that haven't, that you know there's nothing there, so somebody needs to know something. So that's what he's talking
But
about.
I'm thinking the reason of that is because that's why we have the Neighborhood Alliance. And I think that we as individuals need to get involved with our neighborhood so we can be able to go and be able to get the information, such as Empower Network. They know, they've been advertising it on TV, I don't know how long. We need to get the Empower Network to find out what's going on in our neighborhood and be more involved in our neighborhood. And since some of the neighborhoods have not been functioning, they need to be, through the Neighborhood Alliance, need to go back and to extend those neighborhoods to come back and be active within their neighborhood.
Yeah, not only that, but also the planning department needs to, they see their maps and they're not updated. Am I correct?
I don't know what you mean.
At one time, the city, the directory wasn't current. It wasn't where it needed to be. However, over the past 2-3 years, the city has increased its efforts in making sure that that directory is current.
If we don't send the information, how it's going to get it.
But overall, if all of us were to be honest with ourselves, really be honest with ourselves, we've all done a terrible job at reaching out to the grassroots individuals in our community. We all have done that in one shape, form, or fashion. And we need to do a better job at reaching out to that grassroots individuals, because we don't see grassroots people in the room. So why is that? There's something that we have done as a community that has created an environment where those individuals don't feel that they have a voice, that they have anything to say or give to this discussion. And while we may be doing great in our own lives, we must remember that when people do not have money, they are subject to come and hit us upside the head to get money. So we can't just be comfortable with the fact that people don't have money. We all should be doing things to help that process. That's my opinion.
I think there's a lot of, as you said, blame to go around, and I think the city is also involved in that. You know, we have these programs, and they have limited resources, and they even limit the amount of funds that can be used for outreach. So we say to ourselves, do we want to get the funds we have out, or do we want to have trouble getting the funds out and use the funds for outreach that would make it harder to expend the funds in productive and effective ways? If we had more funds, I know this is a line that is people are tired of hearing in many aspects of their lives and in government. We would do a better job of that. I think you're absolutely right. But we struggle to make the funds we have effective in the community And I think it is with the help of organizations like the Empowerment Network, the Long School Neighborhood Association, the president or the Neighborhood Action and Fact Group that help us with these kinds of issues. And we, I must say, depend on them at this point. And it's still a struggle.
And I agree with Juanita. I agree that we do need to pull together, to work together with one another. And I think if we pull our resources together, we can be a little stronger. Because there are some people that don't come to the neighborhood association meetings. Primarily, some of them can't get out. Some of them are, wheelchair bound. There's many reasons, and as she stated, some of them do feel left out. They feel like they don't have a voice. And I'm down in the area of anywhere in Spencer, Lother, a lot of my members are older, older seniors. And Mr. Ross used to head that. And so, it can be difficult, but I think if we do kind of, I'm not here to beat you up. I'm here to work with you. And
sounds totally productive is the bottom line on what everyone has said. I think we could do a better job. Help us do a better job, and I think we will. Yes?
How many people do you have, or do you have a committee structure that you can actually have folks come down here and meet with you, carry the information back? And do you have any, what they call community activists that from your office that goes out into the community and report back?
I would say...
You used to have in the old days, you used to have people that worked in the planning department that actually had neighborhood groups that would assign to them.
I would say,
from the city.
In comparison, we don't have that.
Okay, then that would be something you should implement.
But we have something which, it doesn't approximate that, but we do have people that work in neighborhoods. I have to say, it has its limitations. We depend on the neighborhood association. We depend on the Empowerment Network. Sometimes we worked in the Deer Park neighborhood last year, a highly functioning neighborhood association, but they still worked with us in developing and still had problems that needed to be addressed, and we worked with them to do that.
We're also in a process of kind of moving from a targeted neighborhood to a targeted neighborhood. He just mentioned the Deer Park neighborhood. Previously, we were up in the Prospect Hill neighborhood. And the work we did up there, bringing in some of the nonprofits along with...
I have another question. I was looking at the fact that like when you building the ramps,
right,
and fix the bathrooms. Are those projects contracted out? Or do the city?
They, I believe, are contracted out for the most part.
How do you find out about those? How did you find out about those contracts?
Some of those are city workers. The smaller handyman projects, we have a staff that will do those. Contact our office. Go to our website and.
Let me just ask one other question.
Yes.
Say, for instance, tonight we know your limitations, but we want these people in this room wanted to start putting together a committee meeting once a month to assist you. How would we go about doing that?
You could go out, find your name on the sign-in sheet, which I assume you have used, put a star next to it, and I will make arrangements to meet with you. Contact you either by phone, just give us a method to contact you on that sheet, and if you are interested in doing that, that's something that we could certainly approach.
And I got one other.
Yes.
One of the problems that we have in the community, and I'm just really starting to get back involved, is that we have a lot of elderly people in our community. And one of the things that they fear is you come into their house and doing an inspection and their house being condemned and all that. So that's just real.
I think that is something that is a real fear, and our approach would be very carefully making sure that a person is not living in something that would be dangerous, because that wouldn't be something that we would want any of our fellow Omaha citizens to be living in. And then if we were able to help them, But I don't think we would make a point of looking for code violations. There would be, I bet very few of our houses would not have some code violation that could be identified. And I know you're not talking about, the random broken window or something, but things more serious. But I hope that, and this is something we have to work on, a reputation for being fair-minded and helpful rather than a got-you approach. Yes?
I don't mean to get you off. I want to see the rest of the presentation as well, but I think one of the things, every time I've been here, we talk about scale. I think that's part of the whole conversation that we have every year is the need that's out there versus the funding that you actually have to try to even get close to meeting that. And I've asked each year to quantify that because collectively we can try to help push for more funding. Because when you guys have funding, I've seen the work you do. I've seen you come out of community meetings, you send out the letters, you not, and so, but there's a limit to what you have and what, and so, but I'm still asking that question. For example, the handyman program, it's a great program, you guys do great work, you contract with folks. I guess the question is, how much demand is there versus what you can actually do? Because there's usually a big gap between calls that you're getting to ask for help and then what you actually have the capacity or resources.
It's true, and getting a grasp of this issue, I mean, I don't know if you would want to put a dollar figure on various kinds of issues. That would be really hard to do. As far as demand goes, we fund this at a level that provides assistance to around 700 people, 600 to 700 people, households annually. So the handyman program does work throughout the city and helps elderly and disabled households. I know you're not saying in this specific instance, you're asking a larger question about how we understand the scale and how we decide to prioritize different activities. And frankly, this is what we do here. We try to strike a balance. We need to look, and I think you've made this suggestion, more closely at a more rational way, and that would be valuable to us and the community. There would be forces that came to play that would help us with that, and also it probably would veer us away from the more rational approach as well. Politics comes to play, and so it isn't always what we would like it to be, but sometimes the politics is the very thing that gets to the needs that are the greatest too. So I don't mean to downplay the value of politics, but there are a lot of forces at play in making these decisions. Yes?
I also would like to make a comment about the handyman program. It is a very useful program. However, the age restriction for it is not helpful to me as a single mother with 2 small children who needs the handyman to get in the program because I'm not old.
So we have limited funds. You don't want to hear it. I'm telling you. Limited funds, and we prioritize the elderly and the disabled. I don't want to sugarcoat it, but that's how that works.
But, excuse me, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
Well, what I was going to say is that since we have community allotments, and what we are for, we're for the people in our communities making a village. Is it feasible, like someone from the planning department who has like this handyman thing, come to the meetings and stuff, and you might be able to find people that is willing to be able to reach somebody like her, because that's what the Community Alliance is all about.
Right.
And
are you the Neighborhood Alliance?
Yeah, your Community Alliance and your Neighborhood Alliances, all those things, everyone started our communities first, and stuff. And so basically what I'm saying is that
you know, in our community, there are people that are gifted and is willing to give and to be able to reach back and help somebody like her. But, you know, they can feel good about themselves. And I was just saying that if somebody, you know, from the department could come more often and talk about these things so that people could know, you know, you just got a limited budget, you know, and so, you know, you want to do something in your community, your neighborhood, you know, throw something out here that you think that somebody in this certain age group we can meet.
I put my comment in a way to frame the idea that there is a need that's not being met. And I hope that you didn't find that. I meant it to sound a little stark, but I think the idea is it doesn't necessarily limit itself to people who are elderly. And so...
I thought just a comment, that's just a thought that I was just wanting, I didn't take anything from what you said.
I am going to try to